Hello, fellow collectors. Today we're going to be talking about Dune 4-pack from McFarlane Toys. Now, I found this on Amazon for a very good price, so I'll include the link in the description below. But as we see here, we are looking at Dune Part 2 figures. Here we have Gunny, Paul, Chani, and Stilgar. So on the side we can see we have some words here. It's a pack of 4. On the back we have the characters from the movie, their stills. So on this side we have the Dune. Okay, so if I pull out my scale, put it on, we'll see that this 4-pack is coming in at 1 pound 14.8 ounces. So let's get them all out of the box and off of the scale. Okay, now that we have them out of the box, we can take a look at their cards. Here we have Stilgar, and here is his data file. Please pause to read. Here is Chani and her data file. Please pause to read. Now, here's the funny thing about this pack. I got 2 Gunny cards. No Paul, but 2 Gunnies. So here's Gunny, and here is his data file. So I do not have a Paul Atreides to show you, but I have the figures. So the first we'll start with is Gunny himself. He comes with this sword. See, we have the crest there for Atreides. And the Alliance. Here we have this sword. Now if we pull in Gunny a little bit closer, you see the head sculpt that looks a little bit like the actor, not full on, but pretty close. Here we have him in his armor. If you have not seen Dune 2, go see it. It is worth it. So here we have his armor, definitely dusty all around. Nice details in there. So if we look at Gunny, the back of the head is caught here, so he can't really look up unless you move his head just right. Then you get a little bit of movement up, right, left. And since he has this part here, can't really look down that much. As far as coming out T-pose, he's able to do that. He does have this armor here on the top of the shoulder that prevents some movement, but you do get forward and back movement. He does have a bicep swivel, double bend in the elbow, and a wrist that has this extra part here, but is on a ball jointed hinge. Now, as far as ab crunch goes, we still get pretty good ab crunch. Just beware there is a little bit of a gap right there. Forward, we get the little gap in the back. Now, he does have upper swivel, and he does have a little bit of the waist swivel. As far as splits go, he can do this much of a split. Forward and back, pretty good gait. Does have a double bend in the knee. And his ankle does rotate around. Does go backward and a little bit forward. And he has a toe bend. Now these figures do have some details in the tread here. Now Gunny does not have any place to store his weapons, so if you're going to put them on the shelf, you might want to have them hold it, or you might lose them. That is, the choice is up to you. All right. Next we have Stilgar. Stilgar comes with his knife. Pretty good details in that knife. Here we have Stilgar and his armor. I'll not say what part of the movie these armors are in effect, but if whenever you do, you will recognize this armor. There we go. There's his feet and boots, kneecaps. Now, Stilgar is just like Gunny, but his head can actually look up a little bit more. Down, right, and left. Stilgar looks a little bit like the actor also. Close. Now his arms do come up to a nice T-pose. They go forward and back. Bicep swivel, double bend in the elbow. Wrist that has this extra part here on the back of the wrist. And it does have a ball jointed hinge. As far as ab crunch goes, Stilgar can do a little bit of ab crunch. Just like Gurney has the gap on both front and back. You do it. Now he can rotate at the waist. I'll straighten his head. He looks a little weird doing that. Now he does have gap guards in the shoulder here. I forgot to mention that. Now his legs can do this much of a split. Forward and back. Double bend in the knee. As well as ankles that move around, backwards, forwards, knee or toe bend. Just like Gunny has detail in the back, the front is missing some detail. And just like Gunny, no place to really store the weapon, so he'd probably be holding it. Next we have Chani. Now, she does come with the worm hooks that we have seen in the other movies, used to ride the worms. We'll take a look at this one here. It's a level of details, just like you would see in the movie. And she also comes with a thumper. It would be totally cool if you could pull it up, but it is what it is. So here you have the thumper. Very cool level of detail. Now, Chani has a wired cape, which is totally awesome. You can bend it and shape it to look like the wind is blowing. Totally awesome. Now her cape does have a hood, so a hooded cloak. The only problem is her hair here will get in the way, so you will have to maneuver it so you can get the cloak over, but I'll just turn her head around just so you can get the idea. So here is her hooded cloak. You can even wrap it all around her and pretend she's hiding in the sand. Now Chani does have this head sculpt here. We can pop it off and see this hair braid and the blue on blue eyes. Put that back on. Now we'll look at her level of detail here and her armor. And we raise the cloak up and look at the back. Now, each one of these come with a card, and they all have Dune on them. Or, I'm sorry, a base. So it's very nice that you get those. Now, Chani can look up, down, right, and left. Arms come out to a nice T-pose and go all the way around. She does have a bicep swivel, double bend in the elbow, and a glove that rotates around. You don't get much movement, but you can get some. It doesn't really stand. I think it's because of the way it's made, but you do get a little movement in that. As far as ab crunch goes, she has a pretty good ab crunch. Now, as far as we go, we do see a little bit of a gap here and here. Now, if we push forward a little bit, we have a little bit of a gap. Both spots also. Now, she can rotate at the top part and rotate a little bit at the waist. She can do a full Van Damme split. And forward and back, she gets pretty good. Now she does have a double bend in the knee, as well as ankles that rotate around, go back, forward, and a toe bend. Now, just like the others, details in the boot, missing in the front, good in the back. And I will do a height check once I've went through all of them. So for Paul Atreides, he comes with the exact same equipment that Chani does for the worm, thumper, and the hooks. So I will not review those again. But we look at Paul here. We can see he also has a cloak on, and it is wired. So you can also bend and do all these nice things. Now his cloak does have a connection from the front and back. You can see it here. And he also does have a hooded cloak that comes up. And if you look, mine's already ripped right here, straight out of the package, had that. So just beware, another issue with this figure. Now, we'll take this off. Now, his hair is a little wild, so it does get tangled in there, it appears. So we'll just take this, fold it out of the way. Now we look at Paul here. We see a face, resembles the actor, blue on blue eyes. We see his steel suit. Move this out of the way a little bit. We get a little bit more look at the detail. Very nice set of details for this figure. If I lift up his cape, we can get a little bit of a look in the back here. Very nice. Now Paul Atreides can pop his head off. Oh boy. So I guess you can remove this because it's just around the head. So this part is for the neck. Just looks like mine was just moved there and not ripped at all. That's a good sign, right? So he can look up a little bit, down, right, and left. Arms come out to a T-pose. Rotate around, bicep swivel, double bend in the elbow, and just like Chani has this boot or this glove swivel. Now Paul does have pretty good ab crunch bendability back. You'll have some gaps here also. Forward, we get a little bit more motion. There's a little bit of gap there and there, but the cape will cover it, the cloak. Now we get rotation at the top, as well as a little bit of waist swivel. He can do a good split, almost Von Damme, but not as much as Chani. Forward and back, we get this movement. He does have a double bend in the knee, as well as ankles that rotate, go forward and back, and has a toe bend with the same level of boot detail. Now as I get Paul back into shape here, see, and one of the other good things is these front pieces are also wired, so you can get a little bit of motion out of those also. So even the hood here has a wire in it. So very good on McFarlane Toys for doing this. It definitely makes the figure worthwhile. Now Paul comes in at 7 inches tall. Chani comes in at just under 7 inches, a tick. Stilgar comes in at 7.5, or just a tick under 7.5. We'll just call it 3/8. And here we have Gunny, and Gunny is coming in at the same height as Stilgar at 7 3/8 inches. So if you're just starting your Dune collection just like I am, here's the first 4 of my collection. So you can get them right now. This was a sale on Amazon. So it's one of those, let's go ahead and see how they work. And so then the McFarlane Toys also has the sets on sale for the customer appreciation. So you might want to go check those out also. And remember, shop around, like, subscribe, and keep